Hello, my name is Jamie Bartalovich. I am a student occupational therapist at Cleveland State University, and today I will be presenting on my capstone project, the Universal Guideline Manual, UGM, for inclusive physical education courses at Cleveland State University. This capstone was completed in collaboration with the Department of Health Science and Human Services at Cleveland State University. This capstone included the development and dissemination of the UGM for physical education instructors at CSU. Incorporating diverse teaching methods and adaptive strategies, this manual equips the instructors with guidance on how to accommodate students of all abilities, ensuring a supportive and enriching classroom environment. It will be encouraged for you to grab the UGM right now, as this presentation will go through how to implement the manual. I will be correlating slides with pages of the manual, so please be sure to have it within reach so we can go over it together. So the key learning objectives for this presentation is the ability to recall the origin and importance of using the universal design for learning approach within your classroom. It is also important to understand an occupational therapist perspective within the physical education services courses, the PES courses. You should be able to discuss the development of the Universal Guideline Manual, the UGM. You should be able to apply the UGM within physical education service courses to improve inclusivity within the classroom. And lastly, you should be able to recall appropriate times to apply the UGM within your courses. So before starting my capstone project, I dove into research to see if there were any innovative applications on how to make physical exercise classes more inclusive. Within this journey, I came across the Universal Design for Learning, which became the framework of my capstone project. To provide insight, the origin of the Universal Guideline for Learning, the UDL, was created by David Rose, an education professor at Harvard Graduate Schools in the 1990s. The aim of creating the UDL was to create a successful and inclusive learning environment. Diving deeper into the framework of the UDL is based on three founding principles, which are providing multiple means of engagement, multiple means of representation, and multiple means of action and expression. The UDL is intended for professors to implement the three founding principles into the foundation of their coursework. This is to ensure that all course material reaches all students within the classroom, creating expert learners. Furthermore, expert learners are students who successfully engage within the classroom due to the instructor adapting and reconstructing their coursework to make the environment suitable to all students' needs. The UDL has been used effectively within schools, physical education classes, and has recently expanded to higher education courses, such as colleges. Provided on the slide is a general outline of the UDL. This is the outline that I used when creating my Universal Guideline Manual for the PES classes at CSU. You will see this picture throughout the presentation. You can also reflect on this visual on page 4 of the manual. However, just to go over this briefly, as it does play a valuable role within my UGM, at the top of the image, you can see the three founding principles that I discussed earlier. And then on the left side of the picture, you can see the words access, build, and internalize, which act as building blocks for each principle. When utilizing these building blocks, it will help you achieve the overall goal of the principle. So for example, when you're wanting to achieve the why of learning, providing multiple means of engagement, you will then have to go through the building blocks of access, build, and internalize in order to attain the goal of creating a purposeful and motivated expert learner within your class. Now shifting the focus over to my expertise, I will explain the valuable role of an OT will play within the capstone project. From an occupational therapy perspective, a person's well-being is bettered by improving a person's physical, mental, and social well-being. OTs focus on occupations to address and enhance a person's well-being. What are occupations? Well, they are activities that have purpose and meaning and can be encountered through participation, whether it's done one-on-one, in a group, or in a community. In relation to my capstone project, this can be seen as students participating in exercise, the occupation, through the physical education courses at CSU. OT relies on evidence-based research in order to give reason to their services. With that being said, it has been evident through research that physical activity has been proven to benefit a person's well-being within these areas. This is crucial evidence to my project, as there is current research proving that college students' health decreases once attending college due to the increase of demands and responsibilities. Furthermore, it is even more important to ensure a student with a disability can access physical activity, as they already have increased health concerns, in addition to their health decreasing once becoming a student. Another role an occupational therapist oversees is the duty to advocate for occupational justice among all individuals. Occupational justice is defined as equity and fairness for all individuals regarding resources and opportunities to engage in diverse, healthy, and meaningful occupations. Unfortunately, students with disabilities tend to encounter occupational injustice, the opposite, by facing physical and psychosocial barriers on campus. They also feel isolated on campus, as the physical and social environment tends to be unaccommodating for their needs. Therefore, when using an occupational therapy lens, the UGM will help decrease these instances of alienation and restore justice to all student lives. So bringing the last two slides together between the overview of the UDL and an OT's role, this slide presents the overview of what I wanted to accomplish with my capstone project, which was to bridge the gap between research presenting that physical exercise is beneficial to a student's health, and how research also presents that students with disabilities feel disconnected and isolated on campus, especially when exploring physical exercise activities. In order to bridge the gap disconnect between the student population with a disability and a barrier to attending physical activities, it will be important to use an OT's valuable role to help promote inclusivity through an OT's unique lens and innovative approaches. So with that being said, the UGM was created. This is just a brief overview, and will be discussed further in detail over the next few slides. However, please review the overview section of the manual, which is found on page 2 and 3, to read a more detailed overview of the creation and purpose of the UGM. But just in general, the Universal Guideline Manual, the UGM, was created by interweaving OT practices and newly found methods and research to enhance a student's well-being and improve occupational justice within a student's life. This manual can be used to achieve an efficient and effective assessment, which is to address the inclusivity within PES courses. UGM will be implemented by the PES instructors to improve inclusivity and create expert learners within these courses. And overall, the UGM will improve student participation in classes, in which will enhance the student's life and experience at CSU. So, as the UGM is more of an application form, this picture presents a visual representation of what the form looks like. In order to provide a better understanding of the structure of the manual, following the slide, I will be relating back to the actual manual to ensure each founding principle, but just to go over, each founding principle expresses the type of approach when learning. So when you are focusing on the engagement principle, you are focusing on the why of learning. Why is this important to the students? When you are focusing on the representation principle, you are focusing on the what of learning to the student. And then when you are focusing on the action and expression principle, you are focusing on the how of learning. Each principle is broken down into 3 sections, which are access, build, and internalize. Access, build, and internalize act as building blocks that will allow for you as an instructor to deepen your connection and improve your coursework within the founding principles and with the students. If you follow the structure of the structure of access, build, and internalize accordingly, you will achieve the overall goal for that principle. This slide is just to present the actual structure of the manual that I'll be going over in the next few slides. And what will be being reviewed in the next few slides is I'm going to be going into detail about the structure of the evaluation, how to implement it, followed by going over the general goals of the application. This manual is complex to explain due to the heavy content within each section, so I encourage you to pause this video and go over the structure of the evaluation, which is located on pages 5 through 23. So this slide discusses the breakdown of the structure of the evaluation of the physical education course curriculum and instruction. Again, located on pages 5 through 23. As discussed earlier, I utilized the key components that were used in the UDL by David Rose to structure my UGM. So as you will see, the evaluation is broken down into 3 sections, which are providing multiple means of engagement, representation, and action and expression. When reflecting back to the slide before, you can see that within the evaluation, I have each principle assessed within the manual. So when addressing the engagement principle, you can review and complete pages 5 through 10. When addressing the representation principle, you can review and complete pages 11 through 17. And then when addressing action and expression, you can review and complete pages 18 through 22. Each section is then composed of 3 parts that break down how to access, build, and internalize a report with the students. If you reflect back to the slides before, you can recall seeing that within the evaluation, each of these sections are going to then be broken down into access, build, and internalize. Each layer of this section is to enhance and deepen the student's ability to perform within the classroom. For each topic within the access, build, and internalize, there will be examples and guidance for each key component that you will be able to implement within your classroom. In order to assess how much you are implementing each topic, a response will then be required for each scenario, determining if the criteria was met within the classroom. Depending on the response, it is important to review the limitations and/or barriers that you are presenting within the classroom. You are presented with within the classroom. The UGM will provide possible strategies on how to address these areas and/or how to improve your course content. So just to correlate what we went over in the previous slide to the application, I took a screenshot of the first part of the evaluation, which is located on page 5. This application starts with the engagement principle and how to access and initiate the student's interest and motivation to participate within the classroom. If you reflect back to the visual outline on page 4, which is also the screenshot in the bottom right corner, this part of the form is addressing the first green box out of the 3. Hence why on the form it says part 1. You will see further on the manual, it then provides you a key element that you should be incorporating within your classroom. As for example, 1, optimize individual choice and autonomy is provided within the manual, which is the first bullet point within the visual. So this is just one key element in which you can attain recruiting interest for the access part of engagement. You are then to address It then provides an example of what this may look like within your class. You are then to address whether or not it is being attained within your class. Depending on your answer, you are then to review the possible strategies given that can help improve or expand your practices. You will then continue to follow this process for the rest of the evaluation. On pages 23 through 34, there is a shorter form of the original evaluation. This form simplifies the evaluation process by providing a more concise version of the original evaluation form. It is also to be completed in a similar manner. It's just more of a easier access to the form and is not as long as the original form. That's kind of to be used like once you get the hang of it, and can reflect back to the original form when seeking guidance and feedback, depending on your responses. If you do complete this form electronically, I encourage you to highlight your answer and then create a comment off of it. This is so you can write down what you are currently doing in class to attain this goal and how you can expand on your current practices. I encourage you to do this just because when you check on your form throughout the semester, you can continue to elaborate on how you are improving the inclusivity within your classroom. So just to review, when you should be implementing this, the UGM should be completed before the semester and consistently throughout. Instructors should review the UGM before developing course content. This is just to ensure their coursework is accommodating to all students. It would also provide a very good foundation for your coursework. The UGM criteria also can be applied at any time during the semester to improve the instructor's practices and course content efficiently and effectively. It is recommended that instructors address each section within the UGM separately to ensure all content is completed appropriately. I piloted this manual across two PES courses, the weight training and cross training. It did take me about 2 class periods, and that was me just observing. So, like I said, it's very content heavy. It's going to take a little bit of time, but to ensure you're attaining all the goals and the key elements, do it at your pace to make sure you're hitting all of that. The strategy section throughout the UGM should be used as building blocks to improve coursework and enhance a student's performance skills. The areas within the manual you believe are doing well in, it is encouraged to still review the suggested strategies to consistently and constantly improve your coursework. Something you may read or come across within the strategy column may provide help on an area you may have been struggling with, or it might give you inspiration on what else you could be doing to promote inclusivity within your class. So, when you are implementing the UGM within your classroom, the overall goal is to create expert learners within the learning environment. The application of providing multiple means of engagement, principle 1, will allow students to become expert learners by finding the purpose and motivation in learning. So that's the first, if you look at towards the bottom of the slide, the purpose and motivated. The application of providing multiple means of representation, principle 2, will allow students to become expert learners as they become knowledgeable and resourceful. You can see that is in the purple. When applying the application of action and expression, principle 3, students will become expert learners by becoming more strategic and goal-directed. That's going to be the blue at the bottom of the page. You will also see kind of this color coordination throughout the manual just to kind of give you an idea of correlating the manual to the visual provided within it. And just to kind of allow you to make a deeper connection and understanding of it. It also will kind of allow a more easier understanding because this is a very content heavy manual. One last thing, when you are instructing your courses, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Use communication, collaboration with each other. It's encouraged to always be seeking guidance or help from previous instructors, or to work together if you guys are all dealing with a similar struggle within class. So if you have the information and the resources there, use them. So after the evaluation, I'm now gonna go over just a few things that I incorporated after the evaluation. For instance, these are examples to help guide your practice when creating content within the classroom. Within the strategy sections, I provide insight on how to improve your course content and to ensure I am setting you up with success. I have also provided examples on what the structure of your course content may look like. So on the left-handed side, the today's schedule upper body, this is just an example of providing a very good, simple, brief layout of what today's class looks like. It's black and white, very good contrast, very simple, easy to read. You can also add black and white pictures and stuff like that to it. On the right-handed side, this is just resourceful information you can provide with your students. So when they take it home, they have a good, brief handout to look at. As there are going to be academic jargon, so like higher level terminology used within classes, like yoga, it's kind of hard not to use stuff like that, like the warrior pose, or the, I can't even pronounce that word, Virabhadrasana. You can break it down into a more simple language as the warrior pose, or you can provide a simple picture to the right-handed side of it. I also provided a sitting versus a standing one, just so if it is too complex for the student, they can do either one. And then it's also encouraged when you are providing like a handout or resource to use black and white pictures. It's just the longer the person uses the paper, the pictures aren't going to fade. So that's just like a number one rule when giving students handouts. But anyways, these examples are embedded throughout the evaluation of the manual and are connected to hyperlinks, so it's easier to access these examples. I believe on like page 5 or 7, I think it's 7, you can see like the first example providing a hyperlink further down into the manual when you come across that. Another thing I added in was inclusive resources. A few topics that I pulled from all of the resources gathered was that I included resources that will allow you to explore services and accommodations at CSU. Kind of what I just said a few slides ago, don't reinvent the wheel. If you feel like your student's not attaining the stuff that they need to in your course and you're kind of with your hands tied, see what you can do through the services at CSU, or even if they might have extra tools and equipment that could be of your use within your class. Resources that will help you improve your professional development. As shown on this slide, I received 2 certifications of professional development participation based on delivering inclusive and equitable physical education. These are 2 separate certifications that I got. I think each one was 3 hours each. But it's at your own self-pace. So if you do read faster, it's not exactly all that time. But either way, it's just a really good way to improve or to enhance your professional development. There are other resources that provide further insight on how to become certified as an inclusive fitness trainer if you are interested. I also included resources to explore and understand a deeper understanding when utilizing a UDL in PE courses. There's podcasts about them talking about it. There's so many websites also providing insight with research base. If you go back to that visual of the outline of the UDL, there's a hyperlink located at the bottom of the page, and that provides great detail into the actual application of it. You can actually go into each section and see a bunch of articles providing evidence of how beneficial it is. Um, and then other things that I did, lastly, I provided, not lastly, but I also provided resources to advertise your coursework. So using Canva, infographics, a site that provides you countless PowerPoint slide themes. My goal with this was just to allow you for a more unique advertising like design to your coursework. I use it all the time. It's actually where I got this PowerPoint theme. But yeah, just a way to make your course more unique is just to adapt and provide a theme that kind of deepens the connection of what you're teaching to the student as well. Lastly, I provided resources to applications that will help present various forms of information within the classroom. So what that is saying is I provide like visual timers. That is like an easier way to see what's going on, how much time they have left with the class activities. There's countless various forms of I think math LT or something like that. It just helps with math equations. Dragon, that's a speech to text, a text to speech. And so yeah, it's just really encouraged to look at all of the resources that I have researched and provided you guys. Once you guys do see the UGM, I highly recommend to spend some time looking through these available resources. I think it'd be very beneficial to add to your toolbox as a PES course instructor. And so yeah, just thank you so much for listening to my presentation on how to implement the Universal Guideline Manual within your PES courses. I hope the information I went over provided good insight and that it allows for easy carryover of the application within your classroom.